Alright, is it going? Testing audio levels, making sure they're good. Okay, audio levels look good. Everything else, not so much. So, we're doing this bullshit again. Now, of course, it's even worse because I've not put ad block on this browser because I only use it to monitor and use this specific channel, which is not something I do very often. Also, Open Broadcaster Studio, new software in use here, so I'm having to fuck around with trying to get it to work. So, if you could stop fucking doing that, that'd be great. Yeah, it looks about right. So we're doing one of these for the second Zybertron movie. I tried to do one before while drunk, and that was a terrible idea, and it never worked. I don't know if there's much I can really say about this one, but we're going to try it. So I learned recently from watching a playthrough of it that there are some similarities between Zybertron's story and Final Fantasy VI's story. And that's fucking news to me. I never played Final Fantasy VI until after, many years after I made these shitty movies. So, fucking Magi War. Hell, I got the idea for the name of the Magi, War of the Magi, from the Mummy movie series. One with, the ones with Brendan Fraser. Very surprising. Apparently, when I recorded this originally, it stuttered, and I never bothered to fix it. I don't have the files anymore to fix it. Gotta love it. All this fucking stuttering and bullshit. Yeah, I remember when I named my online persona or whatever the fuck after a video game character. Pathetic. The Z's and U's were more of an echo shape than duplication shape initially. So it's really fucking annoying. Annoying that it comes out like this. That's because I don't have the right fonts. So picking up right after the previous movie ended, fucking whoever the fuck is bleeding out on the table, but still alive. The whatever of light has been exorcised from her. I can't even watch this in the full-size screen because I'm fucking with audio levels. It's great. So, Sid, Dine, I guess his name is, and Blue Guy. Well, no, Sid and Dine are related to this king in some way. They work for him. So they bring the party up to his castle, presumably to get help. But in standard fashion for some shit like this, there's not enough time for any real explanation, nor is the explanation any good. They had found some sort of secret information, I guess. I'm just summarizing the fucking movie. Jesus Christ. So, this was made, obviously, on a higher technical level than the first one, though not by much. There's even more custom assets being used. I don't think it used a default scene at all, which had pretty well become a standard in the 3D movie maker community by the time this movie was originally made. Even if I was well behind the community standards everywhere else. Just, as you can see, I think everyone has a custom outfit design for this movie compared to the previous one. Blue guy might be using a default one. Who knows? Obviously, everything's still basic as shit. The text used to fit better, but I don't have that font anymore. Some stupid special snowflake font, I'm sure. So, of course, nothing can actually work. Isn't this song from Final Fantasy VI? Fuck. I mean, I knew of the game existing. This is back when I went across all these fucking MIDI sites online to grab music and use it. But, really at this point, the only Final Fantasies I had played were 7 Tactics and maybe a bit of 8. I don't know, it's just surprising and kind of funny to me that a lot of elements here were so fucking similar to at least the English translation of Final Fantasy VI. I wonder if there's a reliable translation, because I'm pretty sure the Wii Virtual Console and regrettably the PlayStation version of the game as well were both running off the censored script that was created for the Super Nintendo release in the US. Because Nintendo sucks. No, we gotta censor things. Video games are just for children. Dirt. Fucker. Yeah. I think this has been mentioned before in the voiced video, but there's a scene corruption. And of course, when I was recording these to post up here, I was doing it in the lowest effort, fastest way possible, so you get to see this instead of just an overlay. I have no recollection as to what the rest of the scene was supposed to have. But it's gone. Now, let me just double check things here. I believe some of these areas are actually from the first movie. Let me turn on cursor capture. There we go. So, get out of the way, OBS. Chastised Bioplant, where Carl, the blue guy, was found. Tix Village, named after the song that was used for it. Altine, whatever the fuck that is. I don't think that was used. There was more world building set up here than is actually ever visited in the entire series. Karhan City, I think that's the original city area where the HQ was. Originally represented through a default scene. This is just some random village. This is where the first pointless fight in the movie was. Some sort of lake. Locke's place. Kind of Final Fantasy VII looking meteor impact in the north. To be able to get back into that mindset of 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, and really figure out what I was thinking with all these things, it'd certainly be helpful for these these commentary videos. I suppose what would also be helpful is if I did what I'm doing here for all the other ones, which is use the actual mic setup, because the only thing slightly difficult about this is moving the stand around, getting it around the monitor, because I don't have a big enough area here to have the stand not have to worry about the monitor while still being able to reach where it needs to be. Anyway, let's get this cursor out of here. So I think we're flying off to the mountains. Some Quake 2 music. And let's just pretend the black stuff in the background is PlayStation style draw distance fog. The only draw distance this game or this program actually has is what's still visible in the low pixel count, 512 by 384. See, I can remember bullshit like that, the exact frame size and pixels of a 3D Movie Maker window interface where the 3D shit happens. I can remember that, but I can't remember my thought process behind everything in a fucking movie. Or, can't remember. This is dating back 3-4 years ago when I was still in college. Can't remember important shit like calculus concept for a final exam. So Balbane's this angry other guy fucked up. As I recall, this was the guy that attacked them at their base. Got an arrow in the eye, but somehow the arrow only hit that far, didn't affect the brain or whatever. It's a fantasy movie. I don't have to explain anything. So he's basically a pussy. Now see, he's using a custom model. I think suffice to say, the shitty looking custom models are ones that I put together. And even then, they're just texture changes. The good custom models are resource packs downloaded from the community. Though I think Jersey Balbanes is using a default character. This is a bit loud. Just judging by, I don't know. Quality writing. So I think this is the first fight of the, this movie. Goddamn fucking thing. And as far as the fighting is concerned, thank fucking God I followed the Valerian movie style, which is what I was more blatantly copying in these two films. Of using the Final Fantasy Tactics style combat where people move around and stay where they are instead of jumping back and forth after the first battle in the first movie. Because that would have been extra fucking annoying. Even worse than this. Magic effects are certainly much better in this movie. And see, this was pretty fancy, this fire thing. There, in one of the custom model packs for the 3D text, believe it or not. People actually made it so, made custom 3D fonts for the 3D text system, where a letter or symbol would correspond to a 3D model of a geometric item or plant or whatever, instead of simply being a letter. which led to a lot of really nice effects that weren't taken advantage of too well, at least not by me, because it wasn't that good. This one is something of an inverted sphere, where you can, like, when you clip through a model in most games, you see right through the model, and if there's any occlusion applied to that model, you'll see other models fail to load. This one works the opposite. If you clip through it, well, you're always clipping through it in a way, and you can see the inside, but you cannot see the outside of it. Made the fire effect look real nice. A lot of the sound effects here were taken out of Fire Emblem for the Game Boy, which I think is technically Fire Emblem 7, but it's the old Final Fantasy sort of thing, because Nintendo sucks. They wait until the 7th game in the series to release it in North America, and then they title it as if it's the first game of the series. To this day, I don't think they've released any of the older ones on Virtual Console or anything in the US. Of course, we got fucking limit breaks. And I got this out of Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. Not sure how exactly I recorded this. It sounds decent enough, all things considered, but it also sounds like pointing a microphone at a TV while playing the game. Of course, the standard exposition scenes. Yeah, you really don't want exposition scenes like this when you can't write for shit. Write dialogue for shit. Of course, I also can't do action scenes for shit. And this is present in my newer Apocalypse movies as well. So why bother doing it? Whatever. It's a mild bit of fun. So, new characters. I believe they're supposed to be the wind element or something. Not that they ever have any real effect in what was created of the movie. So as you can expect, they're probably going to be involved in a fight somewhere. Maybe even at some point in this, if this scene didn't end where it did. Seen more in the movie sense and less of in the 3D Movie Maker internal sense, because right then and there with that crossfade, that was a scene transition. Unfortunately, none of the soundtrack sounded anywhere near as good back when I made this. This is coming from Arachno Sound Font and Bass MIDI. You'd be hard-pressed to get a better sounding MIDI. This part you'd think would be a lot more exciting since you're fighting the main villain of the story, but well, that's not how something like this works. Yeah, nothing too insightful here, just they took a supposedly wrong turn, ended up facing against the main villain of the story. or at least original main villain of the story. And goes about as well as one would hope for a sequence in a video game that was intended for you to lose. And here we've got a little bit of a Dream Theater. Back before I even knew who they were, I just took the sound clip from a different movie. Of course, this is all tied into plot convenience. Main character falls off a fucking roof after being chopped in the head. And he ends up being okay. This guy is dead, and because he's not the main character. Could have benefited from some angle changes and cuts to not film every single step he takes. But, you know, that's just too hard when you have to manually rotate every single item of the fucking scene individually. You know, it's a limitation of this program, really. Even if you were to create a full 3D model of an entire, full textured 3D model of an entire scene area, if you were to try to rotate it, it would assume that you're rotating based on the central axis of the entire model instead of your current viewpoint. So it would be a total pain in the ass. But all things considered, it's a program that was made for kids in 1995 that people latched on to for a surprisingly long amount of time and added a bunch of modifications and extra content to. So for the limitations of the system, it worked out well enough. It's probably still people to this day making these videos, so I would not be surprised if all the old guard, as one could put it, would have moved on or retired. And it's a bunch of new fags coming in, shitting the place up. Here we go. Night version of Patrick. These, of course, one of my custom creations. You can tell because it looks like shit. All things considered, I think this is why a lot of filmmakers, even ones that would have originally used this program, would have moved on to Gary's Mod, actual movie-making software, or more recently, Source Filmmaker. Ones you can do a lot better job with. But for the time and for being a modification of a 1995 program made for kids to make simple, silly movies with, there's... it worked out well enough. And by far, my movies that I made with it are not remotely representative of what could be done with it. So I guess here is where some actual insight could come in. I'm not 100% on this. I don't remember fully. I'm actually not sure if I had ever even fully put together all the pieces for this back at the time this was being made. This is super fucking quiet. But it's possible where the story was supposed to go from here was that the villains were actually the good guys, and the supposed good guys were actually the villains. In some way, it would at least be a little bit more original. A bait and switch sort of thing. Not too often do you have a story where the villains are actually the good guys. Sometimes it goes far enough that the good guys turn out to be the villains, but never fully. So this Zelk character, I don't quite remember what his role here was. A spy. A spy, someone just trying to get this guy to join up with them. Fuck. Join up with him. Which works very fast, I guess. Now there could be a lot of intrigue here. He pretends to join up and actually turns on the villains from the inside using the new powers. It never happens. Yeah, I can definitely think of ways to continue this. It's a matter of if I end up wanting to. I don't have any of the source files, so I'd have to either start from scratch or make the second half of this in a different program entirely. But I don't think that would happen. The animations here, I can't animate at all. And trying to emulate it using screenshots and shit in Gary's mod isn't exactly going to work. No, there's a possibility. There's always a possibility, but it's not entirely likely. We should be almost done. I'm gonna clip in this addendum scene. Yep, here's just the shit quality music. Let's fire up the addendum scene. This I made a few years later. Come on, would you... Fuck God! This is so terrible. I think it was in 2012, actually, when I put this together. So, fancier video editing, post-processing, primarily. And a little more dynamic, but it still sucks. So that's, yep, 14 seconds. Camera pans, attempts at lighting, much better. And of course, bloom effect, post-processing. And it amounted to 14 seconds. Of course, some music from fucking Cry of Fear, which is a terrible choice. Yeah, no need to carry on with this. It's just a really bad quality copy of In the End. And going over what I can say right here. I kind of ran out of ideas for the plot at this point. I came up with ones, even in the process of just making this commentary video. But like hell, if there's anything that's gonna come of it, I could try. It does get boring trying just making Apocalypse, especially given even that's hitting a brick wall in creativity. Because there's only so many ways you can go over the same idea. If the world's fucked, there are things, people and things behind the scenes pulling the strings, causing events to transpire that are actually false flags. I've already got 2 full scenes that I'm just going to render out separately and treat as addendums to the Apocalypse universe instead of part of the actual movie itself, which should shave about 20 minutes off of the movie. So, effectively, I've learned absolutely nothing in the realm of filmmaking from when I was making these 3D Movie Maker films. Everything is off the cuff, no planning, no scripting. I tried scripting with some shitty so-called comedy movies that I ended up privating, and it didn't work well there either. It's shit, it sucks, it's terrible in every way. But that's what Apocalypse is, that's what Zybertron is, that's what 3D Movie Maker is. That's what all these movies are. They're shit and they suck. And that's why they get commentary tracks making fun of them.